This is the stiffener piece, and this will get a belt slot in it and will form a tunnel in here. And in order to make that, we will have this part of the stiffener is marked with the tunnel. And if we want to change the cant, we just move this slot up or down and it'll change the cant of the holster. Personally, I don't like a lot of a cant, especially on an Avenger style holster. So I kind of leave it at that. And what I'm going to do is I marked where my tunnel is, and I'm going to make a couple of marks just to follow here. So I'm just gonna, those little marks that I made, nobody will see most of this because it'll all get stitched down. And I just made enough marks so that I know where I've got to, where it's got to go. So when I flip it over, I'll have to flip it over and make some marks on the other side as well. And these marks I will not be connecting with a pen. So it's pretty much as easy as that. Now to cut out this belt slot, it should be, if I measured correctly, from end to end it should be just about, it's a little over 1.5 inches, almost 1 3/4 inches. And that is just enough for 1.5 inches, one of my belts to fit through, which are, I have a belt blank that is 2 layers of 8 to 9 ounce leather. I know a lot of times I do say where I get my stuff. This is just a Poundo mat from Tandy. The punch is, this is a 5/16 number 12 from CS Osborne. Don't let anybody fool you. 8 to 9 ounce leather is not the easiest to punch a hole in. Someday I will do a video on sharpening your punches too. You do have to, occasionally have to sharpen these. I quit using my big yellow hammer, in case you were wondering. This is a craft tool maul. It's not super heavy, and I didn't buy it for tooling. I bought it for doing exactly what I'm doing with it, and it seems to work pretty good. You will see me grabbing that mat several times throughout the video. Now I'm just going to use a ruler, and I'm going to connect this end to end, and I'm going to grab a craft knife, and this is just a plain old whatever you want to call it, X-Acto knife, craft knife. You want to make sure you're holding your blade as vertical as possible, and I'm going to stop just short of the farthest of the hole that I'm cutting to,
I know I've showed this in other videos, but I'm cutting from one hole to the other hole, but I'm stopping short, and then I will from the other end, from the other hole, I will cut into it again, and that way I don't overcut. The last thing you want to do is cut past and cut into your work. That just makes it messy. You can't fix it, except for to make the slot longer, which is not what we're after to do. And there you go. Belt slot. Pretty as you could. And you know, there's always some cleanup that'll have to be done. And a good sharp craft knife can make the cleanup pretty easy. And that's about the best we can ask for that. I'm going to set this. One thing that I did off camera here was I took my little red clips and I clipped the stiffener onto the holster here, and I took my rotary tool and I sanded all the way around it and matched it up to the holster, to the body. That is probably one of the best things you can do to make assembly easier. And this way I can make a mark, just a little, where the two meet up, where the front or the back or the body and the stiffener are going to meet up. That's where two things are going to happen. When we glue it together, I'm going to take my glue all the way to the edge. Otherwise I'm not going to go all the way to the edge. And when I bevel, I'm going to bevel the back side of this, so I round all that off, except where it meets up with the other piece, I don't want to bevel that. So I'm carrying my marker onto the back side a little bit, because it won't be seen. It'll be glued down to the body of the holster. There's some flashing on here from sanding, and I just want to take that off. Because before I bevel it, I want to run my stitch groove. But when you sand, you kind of mushroom some of it off, and that's all I'm taking off here. Not really beveling anything. And the reason that I want it left on there, or don't want to bevel it yet, is because my your stitch groover needs as much of an edge there as you can get. This is one of the tools I got on Amazon. It's a Owden, O-W-D-E-N. Let y'all figure it out from there. Number 1 is the smallest, and it's made for like a 2, maybe 3 ounce leather. It works good on my 3 to 4 ounce. They came very sharp right out of the box, very well packaged, nice handle. They're very comfortable to use. I have a number 1 and a number 3, and as soon as I can, I'm going to get the rest of them, because they're also the only ones that I got that'll go all the way around these corners. My number 1, and I can get part of this. I can get the sides of my belt slot, but I won't go around the inside corner,
which is fine. We'll get the sides of it anyway. The number 3 Odin gets around it. Alright, the rest of that we'll get with sandpaper. Oh shoot! I think that hit handle first. That can wreck a tool, by the way. So, I have my stitch groover. I'm set just a little bit over 1/8. And I'm just going to go from where my stitch line is going to end here. I don't want to well, I can just go across there, it doesn't matter really. Now you'll see I'm turning my leather. Easier when you're going around some of these corners. And I am just going to go right across this where the tunnel is going to be. So there we go. I stitch groove around it. And I kind of like to put my stitch holes in there too. Should have brought my trash can a little closer. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my poundo board and make my stitch holes around. I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do this holster in like a chocolate brown. I'm not going to do any designs on this because these, the way the Avenger holsters work, this is going to get folded, so it's not going to do any good to put any tooling on there at all anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and not make you suffer through putting the stitch holes in here. I'm just, what am I going to use? I'm going to go ahead and use my, these are, oh, what's that brand name? AIS or ASKAIR. It's some weird name. I don't know. I've had them for a long time. They've been good to me. I'm not about to trade them off. When we go around this part that's going to be the tunnel here, we want to start down here, go all the way around and stop here. We don't need any stitch holes here. We're going to go around that belt slot. In fact, let's see. I'm going to start right here. It'll look kind of like that, and then we'll go all the way around with it. I'm not going to make you watch me punch these holes. Then I will take it, I will stick it onto the back or to the body of the holster, and I will go around and mark all of these holes, and then I will remove this and punch them all, and then we'll put it and color it. I will have to put some dye on it and burnish the body or the stiffener just around this. At least this part will have to get burnished because you won't be able to do it after it's together. So there's a little bit to do, and